Writers Podcast, where we encourage, support, and do something else. Inform, that's it. Christian indie writers on their journey toward publication. I'm Christina Catane, and I write in multiple genres, including Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
So welcome to the podcast. I am a little discombobulated this morning, but we are going to do this.
Well, it's a new day for us, isn't it?
Yeah, and all the people to forget that we were supposed to be podcasting on Friday morning, the host should not be one of them.
I figure any opportunity to use the word discombobulated is worth it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, I wonder, too, if it's just a good time to remind everybody that we're going to be doing Friday from now on instead of Thursday, since if you were able to forget, maybe our listeners also didn't realize it's Friday now.
Yes, so Friday mornings, that's our big announcement. From now on, we are going to be live on Fridays, and we have another little bit of announcement, and I think it's only going to affect a couple people, but we have decided to stop the postcasts for now, and so those won't be available until further notice. So, and if you like what we do, tell your friends, click like below, subscribe, click the little bell so that you get notifications, and come join us every Friday. So let's start with what's up. That's where we always start in the morning. So let's, Jennifer's like first in the row. So we'll just start with Jennifer.
Okay, well, what's up with me is I'm trying to get the YouTube going here, and something else has happened, but I will get it up. Other than that, life has just been kind of crazy for us. My girls go back to school in a little over a week, which I'm totally not ready for. Yeah, Detroit Lions played last night. They lost. Detroit Tigers played last night. They won. So life is good for me. How about you, Jamie?
Goodness, I don't really. Oh, I will say that we joined a homeschool co-op down here. And if you guys don't remember, last year we got to this area a little too late to sign up for a co-op. And if you don't know what that is, a homeschool co-op is where parents who homeschool get together to provide educational activities that are difficult to provide in the home, like a science lab or a gym class. Kind of hard to do if you only have 2 kids. Okay, everyone, let's play flag football. Not going to work, right? So cooperatives or co-ops are groups of parents that get together to provide those kinds of activities. And we had our co-op orientation yesterday, so we're all kind of excited to get back into a little bit more of like a routinized way of living and mode of being. So it's just a really exciting time around here for us. How about you, Rhonda?
Well, as soon as we're done with the podcast today, I am headed to North Carolina. I am putting my bags in my car, and we're headed down the road. And so in North Carolina this week, in Appalachia, they have this tradition called Decoration Day. And then it's the Decoration Day that started as Memorial Day back in the 1800s. And now it's Memorial Day up here, but it's still Decoration Day down there. And different families and different cemeteries have different dates. So anyway, there are a couple happening in this week coming up. And so basically it's like genealogist Christmas. I'll be spending most of my time in cemeteries and meeting family I don't know, and seeing hopefully lots of pictures of family that I've never seen before. So I've got a great week coming up.
That's really exciting.
Yes.
Wow, that's kind of silly if you think about it, that you're so excited to hang out in cemeteries.
I know. Yeah. People should appreciate cemeteries more. Really, some of the old tombstones, they leave messages for you with the symbols and the words, and that is one place that you know for a fact that your family member was.
My best friend and I used to go walking every day in this cemetery by her house. It's just huge cemetery. And I have found what I want for my tombstone already just from walking through there. It was a bench, and then the name of the deceased was on like the backrest part, and then it had a little garden and a fountain, like a bird bath thing. Mm-hmm. So people can come and sit down when they come see you.
Yeah, I love that.
I like that. Anyway.
I'm kind of the opposite of you guys. Like, I don't want anyone to come. I'm like, I'm not there. I know I'm weird like that. My parents like always like do decoration day stuff and like that, and I do because I love them. But I don't want anyone coming to my plot because I'm not there.
Well, that's the thing though, is you can't control what other people do. And
Right.
some people don't know about eternity. And so if they learn more about you, they might take an interest in that in a generation or two. But then also people mourn. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you just want to go where, your grandma is. So it's not that we know that, well, grandma's body's here, so that's the only place to think about her at. It's not like that.
That's probably the best way I've ever heard it explained, Rhonda, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, in the Bible, it talks about there being a time to mourn. And I recall being invited to celebration of life situations where people would scold you for having tears. And it would really bother me because sometimes it's hard to let go if you're robbed of that opportunity to mourn in whatever fashion you need to do it. So I hear that. I hear that, even though my attitude is more like Jen. So, I mean, I kind of totally hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I've heard people say they don't want a funeral. They don't want that. But, that stuff is not for us. We're gone.
Exactly.
That stuff is for the people that we leave behind to help them.
One time I told my kids, you better be sad if I'm gone. You better be crying, at least for a little while. I don't want to hear that you're just happy. No, but I mean, I was kind of kidding. But on the other hand, I'm like, I'd be really sad if no one mourns that I'm gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. What's up with you, Tina?
Well, like you, we're getting ready to start the school year. It was Box Day yesterday. Which is really exciting because I order my curriculum. It all comes in one big box, and then we get to open the box and pull out all the books and all that stuff. So it's kind of like Christmas around here.
That would be fun.
Yeah, and co-op is getting ready to start back up, and I put my lesson plans together, and I marked out. Christopher and I sat down and decided what days we were going to take off and which days we were going to do school. Because even though we homeschool, we still need the 36 weeks, that just like if you were going to public school. And so we mark it out and we decide what weeks we're going to have vacation. And so that's kind of what's going on here. So getting ready I think we're going to start on Monday. Because we always end up taking more time off than we've scheduled, because sometimes you just want a break,
Mm-hmm.
And I think we went into July this year because before we were done. And so I said, let's start a couple weeks early, and that'll give us more kind of flexibility, so we're not going into the summer.
Robin is joining us in the chat. I guess I should, I can throw that up there. How do I do that? I forgot. It's new tag. Robin Sardi says, hi, Robin. How are you doing?
Hi, Robin. She says she doesn't see video on Facebook. Boo.
No, I think what happened, all right, so we're doing this new technology, and with this tech is, I think I accidentally refreshed the page again. And when I did that by accident, then it stopped the scheduled stream. So I'm still, I mean, it's all new to me. And, let's just blame this all on Hangouts for going away from us. Because Hangouts was like the easiest thing. And we hate you, Hangouts. We loved Hangouts. And now we don't have that anymore. So
let's make a little Hangouts doll and stick pins in it.
So Jennifer, I see you got the Word of God up there behind us, I'm guessing. Or is that just some random book? Like, what is that up there behind us?
Stop. This
no, I'm talking about our background on the Be Live. There's like yeah.
It is I thought you were teasing me for having me. It is. I found, okay, so we knew that we wanted a color that coordinated with our like red and teal, turquoisey kind of thing. And so I just found a picture of, it's an old fashioned, looks like an old script. But then I colorized it to match. So you guys like it?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And Robin said it's working now, and the sound is working. Huzzah! I'm so glad. Good job, Jen.
So I'm wondering, Robin, are you saying it's working on Facebook or on YouTube? Because I think YouTube is giving us fits. So
again.
Yeah, we have decisions to make. Like, do we want to stick with YouTube? We have a little bit of an audience there, or do we just want to be live on Facebook? Just do live on Facebook and then worry about recording later on a YouTube. So these are decisions that we, the four of us, will make. But I really appreciate you, Robin. You've given us some feedback on it and what it's looking like for you. So
That's super helpful.
Okay, so we should probably transition into our topic, which is a continuation of last week when we were talking about building your platform. And we were about to start talking about Facebook groups when we kind of ran out of time. And so let's get that discussion back up and going. We talked about, I forget what we talked about, but
we talked about Facebook pages, how you
that's
profiles.
right.
You got to have a profile, obviously, to do anything else. And then then we talked about pages and why pages were important for authors, which is kind of your business presence and your business card, to say.
Right.
And
so then groups are more private.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody can just see it. So why do you need a Facebook group?
I feel like a group is going to be the difference between sort of like what we're talking about, how we have some decisions to make, how to run the podcast, and things that we might want to invite people in to give us a little bit of communication about, just kind of on a public platform. So you kind of are narrowing the audience to people who have an interest in what you're doing and what you're writing, to a degree that you're pretty sure they would want to engage with you a little more regularly, and would want to get into topics a little deeper or discuss the things that you've written more than just a blanket, broad, newsflash, everyone, I have a new book coming out. These are people that you expect to be readers of your book and would want to engage with you more. Would everyone agree with that?
Yes, for 100%. And I think too that it's the place that you build super fans. Like, there are gonna be people that like your stuff, but there are gonna also be people that every single thing you put out, they're gonna buy. Every single post that you post, they're gonna like it because they just really, really like what you do, and they are what we call super fans. And this is a place for you to grow those super fans, because they don't just happen because you're awesome. They happen because you reach them on a personal level and they feel like they are part of your career. I have a few in my Facebook group that are just fabulous. Like, one of them, I actually call the president of my fan club. She's the secretary at my girls' school, and she's just the greatest. Like, everywhere we go, if I run into her, it doesn't matter where I am, she tells everybody, oh, you have to read her books. And that's just so fun. And she's in the group, and I'm able to touch base with her and others in ways that I wouldn't just on a page, because people are not going to. Have you guys found this, like, on your pages? People don't post things and people don't respond as much because to them it's just more of a business thing. But you get them in a group and they feel like they're part of a team, and it's just a lot more fun.
And that is one of the major selling points for indie publishing, is you get to have direct contact with your readers. That doesn't happen with traditional publishing. You know who your readers are unless you really go out there and try. So this is, with the mailing list and everything, it's just awesome.
Yes, absolutely agree. We have a new person joining us. Let's say hi really quick. Maria has joined us. Hi, Maria.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, YouTube is still.
Yeah. One more thing too about groups, and it's changed a little bit, but when I first started my group, Facebook algorithms had basically caused all of my page posts to be seen by maybe 8% of who follow me or who like my page. And that wasn't really helping. And then when I started my group, I would say 90% of the group would get posts. They changed it a bit again. So it's not as, you don't get as much organic feed, because they also want you to start advertising in your groups now. And let's be honest, we love Facebook. It's really great, but they're also there to make money too. So that's part of that as well.
Right.
So what
How do
you're
you find out
saying
about the
is-
algorithms?
Say that again.
How do you find out about the algorithms when they're changing, and how to change yourself?
It's a big mystery. Same thing with Amazon too. They don't like you to know about the algorithms. So the best way is to be part of groups. So we're going to talk today about like having your own group, but also like why it's important for us to be members of other groups. So I guess that this is probably a good transition. We can kind of skip around a little bit. I hope you don't mind,
Yeah.
Tina. But
No, that's okay.
I know all four of us are in other groups, not groups that are like our author page groups, but I am in writing groups. I am in historical groups because I write historical romance. What kind of groups are you ladies in that you engage in?
Well, I'm in a group of fans of post-apocalyptic fiction because I really want to get a feel for what makes them tick. And it's very amusing. I mean, I could really talk about how a lot of these people don't treat post-apocalyptic books as fiction. They treat them more like a prophecy or a prediction.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are people in there that are actually prepping for these things to happen. And like yesterday, somebody shared how they made oatmeal. They took oatmeal and powdered milk and freeze-dried fruit and some brown sugar, put it in a Mylar bag, used a clothes iron to seal it, and they're making all these bags of oatmeal for when the big event happens. They'll have all this oatmeal. So these people take this seriously, and so it kind of makes me think about stuff I should probably put in my book.
That's good.
Maybe a little more
That's
details
good.
about how exactly do they make their food in
Mhm.
the wilderness or something like that.
Do
Yeah,
you
I
interact
would
on that
agree
page?
with
Yes, I do. Yes,
I think
do.
that's super important. Like I'm on author, right? So the author pages that I'm on are really good because they feed my business. Would you guys agree with that? Are you guys on like 20 books to 50K or SPF or any of the Brian Cohen one? Yeah, I'm in a lot of those that really help me professionally. But the reason I choose historical groups and I interact in them is because I want people to start seeing me so that like if they're interested in the time period, then they come across me, then they might possibly buy a book too. You don't promo in those. Like, do not self promo in any of these books.
It's usually against the rules. Like when you sign up to join the group, self promo is usually forbidden.
Right.
Anyway,
but people will come looking if they see you. Then a lot of times people will check your profile and make sure that on your personal profile, which we didn't mention, make sure that for where you work, you have your author page as your job. I don't care if you have any other job. This is the job that you need to have on there if you're a writer. So, all right, well, we have some questions coming up already that are connected to what we're going to be talking about. So I'm just going to throw one of them up there right now. Robin Sardi asks, if you want to post something in your group or on your author page, but you don't necessarily want to show on your personal page. Okay, so the way that you do that is when you go to your author page, you make sure that you're posting as your author. And maybe I should do like a little quick video of this later. Just I was considering doing like some toolbox videos. I don't know what you ladies think about this, but when one of us have like maybe kind of an expertise in something, not that I'm an expert, but and can just show specifically, do a little video that people can go to our YouTube channel and just watch them. I'm thinking about doing that, but to show you how to do that. But when you go to your page, Jennifer Carl Tong author is my Facebook page. I click and I select how I'm posting, and I select as Jennifer Carl Tong, not as Jennifer Tong. And when I do that, it will not post to my personal page unless I share it there. Once I posted there, if I wanted the same exact post to be in my group, I still, as Jennifer Carl Tong, author, I share it to the group. So that's how you do that. You have to make sure that you're posting as your author presence, not as your personal preference, your personal page. Okay. Here's another question. All right, let me ask this. How do you start making a group? How do you approach people? Is it people you've already been networking? I guess I should have read this first. All right, Maria, we will get to your question in a second, but I feel like I'm skipping too far ahead for Tina. I'm really sorry, Tina.
That's okay. Well, let's just talk about real quick what you do with a group. And I would just like to say I have a group. I haven't published a book yet, so I don't have like a fan club group. I have a beta reader group. This is a group of people that will read my manuscript before I publish it and give me feedback. And I have about 50 people in there, which I think is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to interact with them occasionally, even though I'm not ready for them to actually do anything for me yet, but that's the group I have.
Mhm.
I have about 100 in my group, and obviously I am published, so that helps. It gives you more things to talk about, but there's lots of things you can do in a group. We talked about what you can do on your page last week, and all of those things you can do on your page, you can do in the group as well, but you want to do exclusive things too. Have you found that, Tina, that if you do something exclusive in there, like you don't do anywhere else, you get a little bit more interaction from people?
Yeah, I haven't really done that because it's really just for beta readers, and I don't have anything for them to read right now. But back when I did, I was posting questions in there,
Right.
like because they were in the process of reading my before I finished my manuscript. I sent it out to the beta readers. Based on their feedback, I started completely over and rewrote the whole story. So for those of you that don't know that, so the first time they were reading the first manuscript, and I knew they were in the process of reading, I would just throw questions like, you know how you can have a poll? I would do polls and stuff like that just to keep them engaged and find out where they were in the book and what was going on. So
polls are a great idea. People love to answer polls.
yeah.
Jamie and Rhonda, you guys are in other groups. Do you have? And do you guys? What are some of the things that your groups do that you enjoy as part of a Facebook group?
I like it when a group has a particular day where they allow you to self-promo, and they typically keep it all to one thread. So it keeps the group from being clogged up with everybody's self-promotion, yet it still gives everybody a chance to go and support someone who might be in the group and might be a new writer. If you're looking for something to read, you can click on that thread and find something. And typically, I find the groups that have the most engagement sort of have a thing that they do that's daily or weekly. Like, so this is the question of the day. What is your main character's favorite fruit or something? And they'll do something special on Wednesday and something special on Monday. And I think that these are bigger groups, so they have more admins and they pass the work of that around. But those are things that I think are really good at getting engagement.
Yeah. I've got a couple groups that do the same thing, and they do you can see the engagement on those topic days really skyrocket. Most of my groups, I'm in there to learn, and I haven't gotten into the promo mindset yet, and I know that I really need to, and I'll try to, that'll make it my goal this week to start thinking about promo. And anyway, what I am doing right now is forcing myself to comment on at least 2 or 3 of them once a day, because I belong to 10 different groups that are the most important to me. So I'm just trying to get my name in people's mind, sort of along the lines of what Jennifer was saying earlier.
Poke it in the public's eye, like Pinocchio said.
Yeah,
so
right.
What you gals say, that really makes me think like of some improvements I need to make to my group. Like, 'cause I have always thought like, yeah, I need to do like every Monday I'd like to play some sort of funny game with them, and maybe every Tuesday do something else. Like, if you are regularly posting things that are not promotion that get people active, then when you do put promotion in your groups, it doesn't feel like they're going to gag on it. Like, oh, here's Jen again about her book, right? Because there's other added value to being in that group, whether it's me sharing free deals that I find from other authors, because everybody wants a free book, right? And I do that in my group. So I think that's an improvement I need to make. Some of the things that I do, like my book reveal covers, my group gets it first. Even if it's a rough draft, sometimes I share the rough drafts of my covers, and they really kind of like that. I get a good response on that. I do Facebook Lives, and sometimes they are just little short things, and they want you to be real, so sometimes I don't put makeup on. Sometimes I'm out in the yard. I did a Facebook Live. This was on my page, though, but when I dropped my book off at the local Christian store, because some people want to go buy it at the Christian store, I did a Facebook Live for people to know that. And so the Facebook Lives, I know some people don't want to be on camera. They don't want people to see but you know what? This is a part of being an indie author. The readers want to know that you're a real person. They want to see the real picture of you. They want to, and it doesn't matter. They don't care if you're wearing makeup. They don't care, because let me tell you, there will be people out there that can identify with you better and will read your books because they see you as a real person, not as someone who's always just kind of made up or someone who uses an avatar all the time. So.
Right. And if I can get over my phobia of being on camera and having my picture taken, then anybody can do it. Just saying. I was like, you want me to do what? But
Well-
now I'm kind of comfortable. So
And I would have to say that from a spiritual perspective, it's kind of the equivalent of putting your light under a bushel. So you are hiding who you are and the wonderful creation that God created you to be behind man's opinions or your own opinions or something that is inferior to that, because God made you who you are. And
Amen.
so to hide away and try to, I mean, this is it. Take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? In 10 years, you might get a different version of this. 10 years ago, you certainly would have had a different version of this, but this is what it is. And so people can like it or lump it, but take it up with God because it's his creation. So
Wow, Jamie, that was
Amen.
great.
I absolutely agree with
like
that.
we've been to church.
I know.
Pastor Jamie, are you going to take up the tithe?
oh yes, please make the checks out the cash and send them to.
The pastors always say, turn to your neighbor, their wallet.
Grab their wallet and be generous. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's go back to Maria's question. She wanted to know, how do you start a group? And this is what I did. There's lots of different ways to do it. And I will caveat to say that I started, I think, too early, but we can talk about that later. But what I did was I did go to my personal page, and I know some people don't want to do this, but this is going to be your first fan base, is the people that love you. And I made a post that said, I don't know if everybody knows, but this is before I was published, but I have been working on writing, and I am going to pursue a career as an author. If you are interested in Christian romance and would like to read my book for free, please message me. I got like 80 some responses from people, and I don't have thousands of followers on Facebook, but some of the people were like, I love Christian romance. Other people were just people that love me. And then other people were just people that just were like, wanted a free book, which is totally fine too. So then I had I did this one whole evening as people were responding. I had copy and pasted, I'm so happy, thank you, this is what I need you to do. And I had the link to the Facebook group for them to join it, because this is where you're going to find out when the book is available for you to have it for free. And so what I will do is I will go and get the script that I used, and I will make make it available for anybody that subscribes. I'll add it to our subscription page for people that subscribe, so that you guys can just copy and paste it and put your own words in it. But so then all of a sudden I had 70, 80 people, I think it was, maybe it was in the 70s, in my group. But then I was like, what do I do? So that's when I started doing, I did a few giveaways. Like I found authors that I really enjoyed, and I bought their book and gave it away. You can do most independent Christian ebooks are like $5 or less. So you can do a $5 Amazon gift card that all you have to do is email them the code. Like, it's super easy. So you can do exclusive giveaways in there, even if you're not published. If you are published, and I use this to feed into my newsletter. I get people to the group first. I try to, but I have some people in the newsletter that aren't in the group. But I get people into the newsletter or into the group, so they get kind of more of the personal stuff. And then I say, all right, so here is how you get the book. Join my newsletter, and you'll get the link sent. If they don't want to stay in the newsletter, they can just unsubscribe. But I found that then people will go to my newsletter and they're getting different information from me. So that's how I would do it. I would first start with people that you know. And another good reason for that, and then within that group, then I asked people to go like my page. They didn't all do it, but a lot of them did. And once I started doing Facebook advertising, my books came out, I found that you can target friends of people that like your page, which is perfect, because then when the ad shows up in someone's feed, it says, Jamie Hirschberger likes Jennifer Carl Tong. And it's social proof, because I'm friends with Jamie Hirschberger. So that helps out too. So I know people don't want to start with their own personal profile page, but really, in my suggestion, that's the place you need to start, because that's the people that love you. And if you're not going to go in there and constantly be feeding your book, this is a one-time deal that you're doing this. And from that, then your group will grow, because people find out about it from friends, and they meet you somewhere, like, oh, I want to be in your group. So then it grows from there.
I have a question. So you say that you decided that you think that you started too early.
Yeah.
So what's the time frame that you would think that you should have started?
Oh, golly. I think it's probably different for everybody. But how many of you ladies have heard that start as soon as possible? Have you guys heard that mantra from
I have heard that.
Yep.
Yeah. but I started, was it, I don't know, what would you guys say? Was it 18 months before I published, or a year? I mean, it was a little while.
Yep.
I think it was 18 months because I thought I was going to be publishing sooner than I was. Because you always think that, oh, I'm only a couple months away, and it's a much longer process than what you realize. I think that for me, I didn't have enough stuff to keep feeding them. I didn't have any updates.
Also, you were not really a Facebook person. So if we were talking about like a Twitter situation, like since you're more active on Twitter, you may have been able to sustain something a little bit. So if you're a person who is regularly engaging on Facebook already and you want to dig around and find some resources, because a lot of the legwork has already been done for a lot of this, like here are some great questions of the day that you can ask in your groups or kind of whatever, just dig around for resources, then you can maybe start and sustain a Facebook group, especially if you have a niche, something like Tina, where you can post things about Alaska or post things about your genre to keep people curious and interested about what you're doing. That's why Jennifer said it's all very dependent upon your personality and your career choices. I mean, if you know you're not going to be publishing for another 3 years, if your timeline is such, you may say, not now.
Okay, well.
Agree. And the plus two, just real quick, I know we're running out of time, but it depends on where you are in your journey too. If you're already published, you need to start yesterday. If you're getting ready to publish and you like, or maybe your book is done and it's with an editor, then you need to start today. But if you're still in the writing process, you might want to take some time and plan it, like decide what you're gonna do on Mondays and Tuesdays, or, you know, like what Jamie was saying earlier about having scheduled things every day, or maybe just 3 days a week, that things that you post. And if you had like a whole game plan for that, it would be a whole lot easier for you to do that as well. So there are questions that we can answer offline too, Maria. I'll message you later.
We're over time, so we'll have to answer.
Well, we started a couple minutes late too. So
what
do we got? Some stuff that we can hammer out real quick, because if you don't want to go to the accountability corner with me, I will happily stay out of there today.
Hey, I second that.
There's only really one question that I want to like kind of course address. It's a little bit about this, but Maria says, okay, sounds good. Although I'm with a small independent publisher, so it'd be tricky to start giving away my first book to do giveaways. Okay, so I'm guessing, Maria, that you don't have your first book as a freebie for people to be able to download if they sign up for your newsletter. So I guess my next suggestion would be to write something that you can give away for free. Because that's going to bring people into your newsletter, and that's what you need to have, a newsletter to be able to sell your books to, in my opinion. That's helped me a ton. So that was a question that I wanted to answer, but I don't know, was there anything else? I guess that was pretty much it. I think that it's important that you, oh, I know one more thing. Sorry. I know I'm babbling a lot today because it's been a bad day, but I also used my group to find my advanced readers for this most recent book. I went to the group, said, I was kind of crunched on time. Is anyone willing to read this book quickly and give me reviews? And I got 10 people that did it. And typically you only get a certain percent of people that will actually do the review. And that's what I found. But at least it went on the first day I had a few reviews already as people were going to buy it. So that's another reason why to have a group. So.
Okay. So with that, let's transition over to the feeding of the backs. And if any of our listeners did the writing prompt, we want to invite you to either post it in our Facebook page or on Twitter. Make sure you tag us if you do it on Twitter. I generally don't see them because my name's not tagged in it, so I have a hard time finding them on Twitter.
Well, I'm losing you, Tina, with your microphone. We're having some issues of some sort.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. Yep, much better.
I moved it away from my mouth because I kept coughing, so that's why.
Oh.
Okay, so for those of you who missed what I said, go if you did the prompt with us, post it and tag us in it so we can read it either on Facebook or Twitter. So let's start with Rhonda because she never goes first.
Look at her face; she's so surprised.
I never go first. What's going on here?
I'm making you go first today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much, Tina. It's always
and you have to tell us what the words were before you start.
All right.
She vociferously complained about, I might add.
Barely. All right. Molt, watch, clouds, morning, and govern. Okay? Everybody have that?
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful grouping of words right there.
All right. Lifting the hood of the old machine, Jimmy coughed and waved his rag in front of him. Well, it looks here like one of the sparrows molted right in the carburetor. I watched in awe as the old man with the arms of a 25-year-old weightlifter deftly removed the hood entirely with nary a grunt. His calloused hands were large and powerful. He wiped the rust off his big paws, tucked the rag back in his back pocket, and pointed at one cloud in the sky. What does that one look like, boy? Squinting and scrunching up his face in concentration, my brother yelled, "Cotton balls!" I groaned, but I didn't laugh at his answer. He's only 5, and me, finally mature since I turned 10 last week, just gave my opinion instead of laughing at him. Grandpa, to me, it looks like a wig one of those old governors would wear. I beamed at the praise I knew would follow. Jimmy looked at me, chewing his toothpick as if he was winning a competition. You're a bright one, ain't you? You teach all that learning to your little brother? And as far as I got.
I could smell the hay. I could see a chicken kind of wander past. Like there was chicken feed kind of spread on the ground a little bit where they were. Like that was such a picture and just so pure. That was amazing. The big hands.
All I smelled was engine grease.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was really good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
And I really like the cotton ball thing.
Oh, that might have been a real life thing. It may not have been my brother.
My favorite part was when you mentioned when you finally got to the point that you were 10 years old, and I just cracked up because, oh, I'm so mature. Like that's exactly like what a kid thinks. Like that's awesome. Yeah. Very well done.
Yeah, it was so cute. I'm like, oh, look at that cute little guy over there, and he was probably my son's age, and so my son, sort of sneakily correcting my behavior toward him, said, well, he's probably not really excited about being called a little guy, Mom, because he's 11 now, and so it's like you don't want to hear that you're little.
I can't believe he's 11.
I know.
He's so cute.
Saw the birthday pictures. He looked adorable.
My little guy's turning 16 in a couple weeks.
Oh,
wow.
He was just born. I don't even understand how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And you're only 18. How did that happen?
Yeah, I'm 28 now.
28. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense then.
Yeah.
You're 12.
Okay, who's going to go next? Jamie, you want to go next?
Sure. I did not write in my Fargo Callahan world.
Aw.
Yeah, well, I guess I closed it. Someone else.
I can go next. I'll go next. Okay. So do you guys remember, quite a few months back, I wrote about the couple that went on a vacation and he pushed her in the water.
Yes, I love them.
Okay.
And yes, I love that couple.
I don't remember their names, though I gave them names in here. I don't think it's the right names, but I'm pretty sure these are the same. This is the same couple. So, okay. Look at me. I'm molting. You're not molting. Gladys held out the hairbrush and waved it under her husband's nose. Look, I've never lost this much hair before. Frank sighed. Well, unless you've also changed species, I can assure you that you're not molting. Frank threw his legs over the side of the bed and rested his elbows on his knees. He swiped his hand up and down his face a couple of times, then stretched his arms overhead. The curtains had already been pulled back from the bedroom window. His wife's practiced first step in waking him every morning. Clouds hung low and gray, hinting at the rain that would probably hit within the next hour. Frank had hoped to work on the lawn today, but obviously got other plans. Typical for Michigan weather to govern his chores like that. Are you even watching me? Gladys asked. Frank turned to find her standing at the foot of their bed, hands on hips, hairbrush dangling from her fingertips. I didn't realize I was supposed to be watching. He was about to say more, something about being interested in watching if she were wearing a little less clothing this early in the morning, but something stopped him. Her eyes. Behind that tough exterior, the shell she always showed the world, I don't know what word to put there, of the woman who had successfully raised 6 children to adulthood and, truth be known, raised him from an immature young groom to the man he is today. Behind all of that was a woman needing something from her husband, and her eyes told him that. He smiled at Gladys and patted the spot next to him on the bed. Without another word, she sat next to him and snuggled into his shoulder as he wrapped his arm around her. We'll get through this together, you know that, right? He felt her nod against him. He placed his cheek on top of her head. And I think you'll be gorgeous when you're bald, he said, just like I am. Just like I am.
That totally reminded me of Mr. Bennett from Pride and Prejudice mixed with someone who actually did love his wife. But like the teasing kind of a way, how he was just like amused by her sillinesses. But then, so I did really appreciate that because I love the humor that she did with Mr. Bennett. And also, you talk all the time about you want to write about married Christian couples. And like you kind of are just in these little sprints and snippets that you're doing. And it's really just little vignettes of Christian married life. And it might work very well as kind of a Devo kind of style, you know.
Oh, I never thought about that.
This little page of whatever. And then, you know, a scripture, God, let us encourage. That's not in the scriptures, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, I liked it. I'll shut up now.
Thank you.
I love your use of the word govern. That was very creative.
Thanks.
I really liked it, and I'm just a little curious if it was just my perception was off, because the other ladies laughed at the end, but I wanted to cry because is her hair falling out because she has cancer?
I think so, but I wanted you to laugh. Like I really feel like I know this story already. Like, you know, the other story was they were going on this vacation. They were going to do it for 30 years. They finally get there, and then she doesn't want to do it. And he's like, we're going, and he pushes her in, right? So I didn't know what I was doing with that story. And then when I was writing this, I was like, that would make sense why they would go on that vacation.
Bucket list.
Yeah. So I think, and I, like Jamie said, I'm getting goosebumps. I've always really wanted to write more romance, but from a married perspective, because so many romance books, which I enjoy reading, are like new romance. But then after the new romance, you get married. So like, it doesn't mean the romance has to stop. So I kind of can see this story already forming in my head, which is terrible because I have so many other books I already have started.
We have to talk though, because how would you then market that? Like, you can't market as romance, can you? Because I mean, the tropes of it are they're not together, and then they almost are together, and then they get their, you know what I'm saying?
But she's an indie writer though, Jamie.
But marriage has cycles, and so you're not always like super close and happy and feeling in love. I mean, it has cycles where you grow apart and then you come back together again.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm not
really good.
that. I'm just talking from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, you could use those.
As someone who's struggling writing such niche content to find a market for it, I'm just wondering what her strategy would be to market it. Like, I totally agree with the premise and that it's needed and all that stuff. But again, that's a really long conversation.
But I just think that you could use those cycles to still have that trope of them looking like they're going to break up and then coming back together kind of stuff.
Right. Karen Kingsbury has written many romance novels that are about married couples, and sorry about that ringing in the background, about married couples, and they're targeted as romance. And I would take the tropes that I would normally write to, but I would put the marriage into that trope. So I think I can really do that. So I'm excited about it.
Well, and also, you know, just as an FYI, you could do whatever the characters tell you to do, but you can lose your hair for way more reasons than cancer. So just you're very free to like make a decision there.
I just love that, like, you didn't know, and I think that's how I would end the chapter, and then you have to keep reading to find out why is she losing hair. Like, I love that, like, you guys laughed because I wanted to laugh because he was calling himself attractive or beautiful or whatever word I use, and I love that Tina was like, wait a minute, what? Like, so I love that. That's exactly what I was hoping for in this sprint. That's crazy. So thank you, ladies.
Okay, Jamie, is yours all pulled up and ready to go?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. Oh, here it is. Good grief. All right. Can't we go any faster? Charlie shifted uneasily in his seat as he eyed the dash mount navigation system, which clearly and unmovingly communicated the time at which they'd reach the next truck stop. He declined using the notoriously gnarly facilities at the shipper that morning, thinking matters not so dire as he hauled himself up into the seat and silently calculated how long it would take them to reach the nearest pilot, a favorite haunt of his driver, Steve, and had been much pleased with himself for accurately predicting the 25-minute drive. Alas, they'd run into traffic almost immediately, and Charlie had watched in painful dismay as the number had inched upward to a breathtaking 45 minutes. I'm not sure how much longer my bladder can hold out. Sorry, can't since they put that govern on the motor. Charlie winced at the bad grammar, but the urgency of his call to nature suppressed his typical habit of correcting the driver, who spoke with a dialect that was often indecipherable to most shippers. Charlie, who was often called upon to act as interpreter, allowed his mind to recreate his frustration with Charlie's grammar into yet another twisted knob of kindling for the fire that burned within him, the desire to acquire a CDL of his own. There were storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Charlie moaned. If the rains came down as they were known to, in torrential sheets of blinding bullets that smacked off the windshield, Steve would slow further. But the rain held off, and Charlie made it to the pilot, where, unwilling to give neither Steve nor the curious drivers of the trucks they were sandwiched between the satisfaction of understanding the urgency of his case, Charlie walked in what he imagined was the best imitation of John Wayne Cool as a steel horse cowboy had ever assimilated. 10 minutes later, he was back in the cab, cracking pistachios and correcting Steve when he said he reckoned it would be a good idea to get the truck a-washed.
Worst. Okay, so your use of govern, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Love it. Okay, so the two of you, it looked like you and Jennifer both were done before the time was even up. I need help writing like you guys do. Complete stories. It's amazing to me.
I don't think you need help, Rhonda. You write like you write. That's just, if you were to try to write like us, I don't think you would have your voice, and it would be, plus maybe you don't have a complete story, but you have complete characters in such a way that like, they're just so real to us. Like that was our first response as soon as you were done. So, but Jamie is just very talented in doing both. Like, characters, I could see these characters, and I felt like I was right there with them, and I feel like I had to go to the bathroom too. And I really enjoyed that.
I really love the description of the rain coming down in Bullet.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That whole little spiel right there about the rain. I just love that.
Yeah. I could see him sitting there cracking pistachios. It kind of gave me an idea of the guy just by the cracking pistachios.
Yeah, Tina planted pistachios in my brain earlier this week.
I thought of her, yeah.
I was going to ask you if that was
You're welcome.
She discovered that they are a good natural sleep aid.
It really is working. Like, I was totally asleep when Jennifer called me this morning and said, "Where are you?"
Okay, I have to know though, because like this is very. I really have I have a habit of assimilating the writing style of what I'm reading, I believe, because I've been reading. I read The Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm reading Aerosmith, and that was written in like 1921, and I feel like this came out very like literary, and I don't know if it was really boring.
No, it wasn't boring, and I agree. It seemed literary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there were certain parts in there that were very prosy, but I love that kind of stuff. So I really liked it.
It's just really weird because I remember last year when I was reading Flannery O'Connor, I felt like my writing was like coming out more like hers. It's really strange. I mean, not that I would deign to compare my work to hers, but just the style and the flow of it.
I think the same thing happens to me because I've been watching a lot of Acorn TV, which is like British TV, and I'm watching all these detective shows. And so in my sprints, I always seem to go back to my little British detective guy. So.
Well, what about today? Is that what you did? Especially because when we first pulled up Molt, it was Moult. And we were like, well, should we use the American spelling? But anyway, I just thought that was kind of fun that it came up spelled that way.
I did write Detective Ian today. I didn't use all the words because I was a continuation. Yesterday in our sprint, was it yesterday? I wrote a scene of a murder in an office building. And now I wrote the next scene of him going to investigate. So I just got caught up in the story and I forgot about the words. So there's a couple of them in there.
Oh, is that woman from 2 days ago? Was she part of this?
The one that died?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's investigating her murder.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, now we're ready. I'm really sorry for all the listeners that don't get to hear all of our office hours because this was really good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this one's good too. I don't know. The morning sky was filled with clouds that promised rain. Ian pulled his coat tighter around himself as he hurried across the street. Traffic was still light this time of day. It wouldn't get bad for another 30 minutes or so. There was a Starbucks directly across from the main entrance of Glasgow Defense Initiatives. The big guy in the sky was smiling down on him today. He ordered a double-shot energy and then found a spot by the window. There were a few people sitting at the tables with their laptops or iPads, but mostly those in line hurried out the front door on their way to work, apparently. Ian settled in to watch. He intended to observe all of the employees of Glasgow on their way in before going in to interview them. One of them killed Penelope XXX, I couldn't remember her last name, and he intended to find out who. He'd been called in yesterday. The woman, an attractive blonde in her mid-40s, was lying on the boardroom floor, staring lifelessly at the ceiling. Foam coated her lips and was dripping down her cheek onto the floor. She was dressed in a black pencil skirt, white blouse, and black blazer. Her black no-nonsense heels had fallen off her feet and were lying near them. Oh, I lost my spot. One on its side and one standing up would walk away any minute. "Why am I here?" he'd asked his commander who had accompanied him. "This should be a case for the murder squad." Yes. Well, not only was this woman the niece of our prime minister, but she was the CEO of a major defense contractor with knowledge of state secrets. There was a particular weapons contract in the works, and we are concerned she was killed for the blueprints. This information can go no further. Ian looked at his commander. He knew this was coming from above. The men who had the task to govern the lower ranks were more politicians than officers, and politics irritated Ian, leaving a bad taste in his mouth. "So, I'm supposed to investigate someone possibly stealing blueprints for a new weapon without ever mentioning those blueprints or the weapon," Ian said, not really expecting an answer. "I have faith in you, Ian. You're the best we've got."
Wow, that's like a whole chapter.
It is.
Wow.
Who has access to cyanide?
Ooh.
Oh, I
Wow, I can't. How many words is that? Like literally, that was like a whole chapter. In
I have
15
no idea.
Do a word, Dad.
Word count. It's only 392.
No, it
Gosh.
is not.
What?
So much crammed into 392. So well done.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I love
Wow.
Wow. That was so
The only
good.
problem is I don't have enough knowledge of the layout of London.
Oh,
it. Oh,
Tina,
Oh no,
road
I have
trip.
to go there.
Road trip, more like boat trip.
And business
Or
right now.
airplane trip.
all right, Maria. Get the guest room ready. Here we come.
Yeah.
I'll-
She's not too
I'll
far
bring
from
my-
London, is she?
We can buy an air mattress when we get there.
Oh,
I have a friend, Amy, that lives not far outside of London, so we could split up. So it's not so much on you, Maria. We'll all be,
Yeah, there we go.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
thanks, guys. So let's move on to Jamie's favorite part of the podcast that she's really looking forward to today, and that would be the accountability corner.
dun dun dun.
That's where we tell our goals and we tell if we met them, and we hold each other accountable. So, any volunteers for who's going to go first?
I will, because I do not want to be accountable, because I did not do what I said I was going to do, which is essentially edit a whole bunch of my first Callahan Caper book. And I had this epiphany this morning because I'm so hung up on the beginning. I think that what I need to do is to just stop with the beginning and jump in where I feel like I can actually do some work that will encourage me. I do have submission for, we've stopped doing the postcast, but the first time we get together as our old-fashioned writing group, you guys will get to see my struggle and maybe help me make a decision as far as how the beginning is going. But if I allow myself to be like, until I have the beginning fixed, I can't move on, well, that's ridiculous. So I do not know what kind of goal to make. I suppose I will get through 2 chapters will be my goal, to where I feel like they are polished and good. Unless something happens to the plot where I have to go back and make a change, I'm going to commit to getting through 2. And I'm also going to commit to spending at least 1 hour out of my office hours per day trying to figure out my email, chain of welcome, and all of that stuff. / putting together what will be my magnet, which I've decided, since I write short fiction, I'm going to make a short fiction compilation from some things that I have sitting that I feel like are complete, that have a common theme, and maybe that is something I can use for a reader magnet. So
That's awesome.
our recent Build Your Platform episodes have really inspired me.
Awesome. You know, a lot of authors that I've seen interviewed and have talked about their process say they don't write the beginning until the book's all done.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I
know. I agree that I think it's good for you to leave what you're doing and go to a part that's more inspiring for you. Whenever I feel blocked or just not wanting to write, I always go write a kissing scene. They make me happy.
I killed somebody. So
there you go. See? Tomato. That's awesome.
And usually it's a stand-in for the person I'm really irritated with at the moment.
How many times have you killed me, Tina? Just curious.
I'm not telling.
Yep.
Jamie, I think your idea for the reader magnet is really good because you've got so many genres you've written in. And are you going to give it are you going to make that a compilation of the different genres, or try to make it all mystery? Or
no, I have 3 pieces. I have to check the availability of one because it has been published, but I have 3 pieces that are written from a child's perspective, and so it may have that as the commonality. So that might be the theme that holds them all together. Maybe. It just depends, because I have to figure out, first of all, what my word count is, and if I feel like it's substantial enough, or if I have to write something else. I do have one short that is not like the others, whereas the other 3 are very firmly grounded in the reality of today and right now. The other one has an element of speculative to it, so I don't know if I can include it or not, although it is from a child's perspective. So I just have some decisions to make there.
Well, I want to be the first person to sign up.
Yeah, no, I'm ahead of you.
We're gonna have to fight.
So are you going to also put this up for purchase on Amazon?
No.
Okay. Well, that's your choice, but I would suggest.
I don't want to buy an ISBN.
You don't have to on Amazon. You can do just the Amazon AISN. You don't have to buy one. But the reason why is this was something that I learned from another writer, is that when you put them up for sale, your reader magnets for sale as well, then you will maybe possibly catch somebody that will buy it, or if you put it into the Kindle Unlimited, then they might happen across you. But also when people go to sign up for your email, if they see that it's also for sale, then there's an added value to what they're getting for signing up for your email.
Yeah, the perceived value is a really good point. But I believe, can you not go unlimited and then give it away for free? Because I would just give away something I've already written.
Forgot.
So yeah.
Forgot. Unlimited you cannot. So when I go unlimited with any of my books, my first one will not be unlimited because of the fact that I'm giving it away. I forgot that. I'm really sorry. But I still think that you can put it up there for purchase, because then it gives it added value for people to see that.
Yeah,
and
as long as there's no cost involved, because I'm not interested in really.
Absolutely agree. And then make sure you put links to your books at the back of what you're giving away.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great
idea. And a link to sign up for your newsletter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they have to sign up and get it for free.
Yeah, that's.
I meant in the one you're selling.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's a good point. Yeah, because if they buy it, then they'd want to follow you. Yeah, awesome. So I'm feeling actually a little more encouraged now that I have some material. And so I might say too, was it Robin? Robin, I know, has sprinted with us and has written some little offhand things. So maybe that's the way that she could go, because she was saying she doesn't have a reader magnet and she doesn't want to give her first book away for free. So that's possibly an avenue that she could explore. I mean, you really only have to put together, I don't know, what would you guys say, 25,000 words, and you feel like you got a free book? Or, I mean, how long do you think it has to be to feel like you got something of value for free? 10,000? Like, I mean, 3
I would be
stories?
satisfied with 25.
And I think it's how good of a writer you are too.
Yeah.
So absolutely agree. I've been ignoring the chat. So there were a few comments that were made, like from earlier when we were talking, Robin was laughing at us. She says, because all England equals London. Yeah, that was my joke. Like we know that we're being completely American when we say that joke. So Just kidding. Let's hit their accountabilities really quick, and then we'll move on with everybody else. Robin says today she's working on her action plan
What?
from the
conference.
Yeah, and setting real goals to be set to go on Monday.
Why didn't we know about this?
I would like to go to that, please.
Next year. Make sure you
Okay.
tell us in advance, Robin. Maria says, "What's up with me? I got back to editing my third novel, yay, and finally fixed the chapter's flow that was bothering me. So that's real good.
Yay!
Awesome.
Oh, it feels so good when a dam breaks like that, doesn't it?
I know. Yeah, that was me this week. So for sure. And then Robin just wanted to know if you were trying to start too early. If the beginning is boring, try starting the story later. That has worked for me before too. So
well, it's not about starting, it's making a choice. This is a book that's already written. So, but yes, I mean, that's great advice for someone who's starting a story. So I get what she's saying, like the timeline of the story. Oh my gosh, I could talk for so long because my original opening was way farther into the action and I got feedback that nobody cared about my character. So then it's like, so do I start with a character building so people love my character before the action happens? And so now I'm stuck at like this one voice in my head from this person who criticized. Who cares that this crime is happening because we don't care about the victim? So I'm trying to write a chapter that makes people care about the victim.
Who is this person? So I can
Yeah, no kidding.
Right.
I'm an editor when I was trying to trad pub.
Yeah, ignore them.
Yeah.
You have such a great way with characters and with stories. I wouldn't even however you started, I'm sure is really, really great.
Okay,
Honestly.
so on that note, let's move on. Who wants to go next for accountability corner?
I will because I feel like I kind of am in the same boat as what Maria was. So book 3, me and Maria are in the same boat there. And I messaged the ladies 2 days ago, I think it was, maybe it was yesterday, that I feel like the veil that had been placed over this book, that God has lifted it, because all of a sudden I'm looking at it with new eyes. I can see the problems and I can see fixes for them. And I'm just super jazzed about this book right now, because this was like, these two are my favorite characters of this series, but this book was like killing me. And I feel like that now I'm in a good place, and I just wish I had more time to sit and just spend all day long. I wish it was November and Nano or something where I could just like tell everybody in my family, find your own food, do your own laundry. I'm busy. So, but anyway, so accountability wise, I don't remember what I said last week, because I know that last week was a rough week for me with everything going on with my aunt, who has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Also the fact that we had lots of tech issues last week, and it was just a crazy day. So I don't remember what I said, but I remember saying that that because life was crazy, that I didn't know, but that I would really need to get back to book 3. So I got back to book 3. I feel like I'm on track. And so accountability wise for next week, I think I can do 4 chapters before next week. And that's before we meet on Friday. So that's my goal, is to go through and edit 4 chapters to be good. So that's my goal.
Okay. Rhonda, do you want to? Well, I guess we should respond.
Or not.
Does anyone have anything to? I mean, that sounds like a pretty good goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm
Pretty
so glad for
straightforward.
you that you had the breakthrough, much like Maria
Yeah.
did. That really feels good. That's great.
Could you send a little of that my way?
My way also.
Just like,
Yeah.
sprinkle
Yeah.
some of your fairy dust over
I
here.
sent you guys Florida heat and sunshine. So the least you could do is send me.
Well, I will send you prayers. So they honestly feel like it was a God thing, because I just could not figure out why I could not get into this. And I really feel like he's like, but finally said, all right, now the time is right. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
so I'll be praying for you. So there's my fairy dust.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. Accountability corner.
Okay, so for the last 6 weeks, 3 months, whatever, my whole schedule has been sort of like, I kind of picture it like a Tetris game where you shoot at it and then like this whole bottom is all ragged and got holes in it. And then all of a sudden everything just falls to the bottom and then it's straight again. So I kind of feel like I'm getting back to that straight line. And so I'm able to really have more of a schedule again. So I feel really good about that. Of course, like I said, in a few minutes, I'm going to be leaving for a road trip. So I'm not going to be able to hold regular office hours, but I'm still hoping to be able to do the sprint every day and then take off. Because one thing you guys have going for you and me being there is that I'm not with a bunch of early risers this week. So I should be able to do the sprint every day. And then I'm forcing myself in the evening to spend 30 minutes on my nonfiction and 30 minutes on my fiction, because I'm not going to be able to spend big chunks of time on it, but I can do those 30 minutes. And I'm hoping that by the time I get the 30 minutes in, I will have momentum going to make notes for the next session, instead of just totally draining the swamp of my brain that it's going to be on my vacation. So those are my goals. Sprint every day, 30 minutes on nonfiction, 30 minutes on fiction.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Tina, you don't get to just sign off. You have to.
Well, I feel like my accountability corner information is really boring because I'm pretty sure what I said was that I would show up for office hours. My manuscript, and that's what I did. And it's coming along, and that's what I need to continue to do. I need to get this done.
I feel like where I would encourage you would be to try to come up with something a little more specific so that you can have, like, so if you're on page 112 today, by next Thursday you want to be on page 122 or something, so that your goal is more specific and measurable, because I don't know how much progress you are or are not making, and it's very difficult as an accountability partner to say, yay, you're doing a great job, or boo, you're really slacking off, if you don't give me a more specific target that you're shooting for. Because you could say, Jennifer, you didn't do your 4 chapters. You need to, maybe schedule your time a little better next week. Jamie, you didn't do your whatever 4 chapters. So you know what I mean? But we can't hold you accountable because your goal is so in the ether. And that's when they say making smart goals, make sure they're specific and measurable. So if you could think of, like, I need to get through 10 pages, I need to get through the next chapter, that would really help us to help you. And maybe you would feel more like you're making progress instead of, I just keep saying I'm going to edit.
Well, I feel like I'm making progress, and my goal was like to spend the 2 hours, from 10 to 12, after our sprint working on the manuscript. The problem with trying to predict how many chapters I can get through is, like, some of the chapters are a breeze and some of them are just like really hard work, and it's really hard to predict how long it's going to take me.
Well, did you do 2 hours every day?
After the sprint, yes, I worked, and some days I worked past 12. And my husband would come in and it was like 12:45 and I was still working. So.
And how much progress have you made? Like, you have a goal for getting through the whole thing, right? So, like, Are you halfway? Are you 3/4 of the way?
I'm close to halfway done. So, and then the way I'm doing it though is the stoplight method. So I'm halfway, and so since I'm doing the stoplight method, then the red light things are the really big fixes. And that's what I'm doing right now. That's why it's kind of, I feel like once I get through all these big fixes, that the rest of it's going to go smoothly.
You have a goal of September or something to be through your red light though.
Yeah, September 12th.
How do you feel about that goal? That's a month.
I think I can do it.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine being able to move on to just less complicated fixes? Goodness.
It'll be just like word flow and, passive voice stuff and picking out all my myriad, LY words.
Yeah.
That they're just peppered everywhere. I love my LY words.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm really in the hardest part right now of doing those red light, really big fixes of content issues and story issues. So when I get through that, I feel like it's going to be all downhill from there.
Awesome. Well, good job keeping to your commitment. That's great. Too bad I didn't.
I think it's going to be easier too when we're starting school on Monday. And so then my day is going to be scheduled more, and it's going to be less at loose ends. And I do better with a more rigid schedule.
Me too.
So I kind of tend to flounder sometimes in the summer where there's no schedule that I have to keep to. So
Does anybody else hear the word flounder and immediately think of that little fish?
Yes.
No.
Okay, sorry.
Who is this fish?
From The Little Mermaid.
From Little Mermaid.
Oh, I never saw it. I'm sorry.
What?
She hates
No.
Disney.
But I read the Grimm version.
For a postcast.
Rhonda, you and I are the same age. That was like high school for us. Come
No,
on.
I read the Grimm version.
Okay, the
Not
Grimm
the
version
same.
is probably just
No,
horrible.
no, I don't think it will be.
I can't even imagine what the Grimm version of The Little Mermaid is. Good.
She
night.
dies. She dies.
I think there's no flounder in that one.
No, I don't think. No,
No.
not at all.
Unless they're eating it for dinner.
She wants to be a land person, and then she realizes there's sand and there's like cracks and folds that she didn't know were going to be there. And then she's like, I hate being a human. That's what I think the Grimm version is.
Yeah, it's real close to that.
I
That
hate
sounds pretty
sand.
grim.
Did I just say, I like the ocean, but I hate dealing with sand. Okay, that's it. I'll shut up now.
Okay. So, is everybody done? Is everybody
Yeah, I think that covers
clear?
it.
Nothing else anyone wants to say?
Anything in the chat, I'm scared to look because I don't want to boot myself.
Robin, all caps. What is wrong with you? Well, to not being able to. Okay. Don't be such a guppy flounder. That was another one. Don't be such a guppy flounder.
Yeah.
So just one thing I want to clear up. It was Maria that was looking to do not Robin. So they want to clear that up. So I know this is way back in the conversation, but Robin says she's working on a 25,000 word reader magnet. I think that's probably really good. I think my reader magnet is probably on the generous side, but I'm okay with that because I know some people don't want to give away their first book, and I totally understand that. But like was said to me early on in my career, you're either going to give away your first book or you're going to pay more money in advertising. So the money that I would maybe lose with that first book, I would have been putting in advertising anyway. So that's kind of how I look at it. And Jamie, who was it that you said there was a country singer and he would write a song? Willie Nelson. He'd write a song just to get a beer. And he would say, I can always write another one. So that's kind of how I feel. I'm looking at the long game for me. That doesn't work for everybody, but I'm looking at the long game. So that's why I give away mine. But if you're not doing that, then I absolutely agree. Like a 25,000 word, even a 10,000 well-written short story is a great reader magnet. So,
Well, and your reader magnet really was not your first book. Your reader magnet was a novella that you wrote independently. It was like off of a writing sprint, right? So it wasn't like your first book that you gave. It was like a separate write, correct?
No, it's Searching for Anna is my reader magnet.
Yeah, which I thought came out of a writing exercise. And
it did.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't I didn't plan on it being, that's true. I did not plan on it being the first book, but the way that Amazon works, I had to make it book one. I meant it to just be kind of like an additional read, but yes, that's very, very true. Yep.
Okay.
So, all right, great.
All right. Well, then that concludes the Christian Indie Writers podcast. So until next week, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.